The story of female clerks, radio operators, and messengers is one of the most overlooked yet transformative chapters in the evolution of modern labor, wartime logistics, and communication networks. Their emergence was not the result of a sudden cultural shift or a broad call for gender equality, but rather a convergence of desperation, necessity, and the unyielding momentum of historical upheaval. As nations entered eras of large-scale conflict, particularly during the First and Second World Wars, the traditional workforce structure collapsed under the weight of mass mobilization, drawing countless men into frontline combat and leaving behind vast administrative, logistical, and communication voids that had to be filled for military and civilian operations to survive. Into this vacuum stepped an unexpected force. Women who had previously been confined to domestic responsibilities, limited teaching roles, or small pockets of clerical work designed to reinforce rather than challenge gender norms. These women were not merely replacements. They became the connective fabric of wartime coordination, ensuring that orders were transmitted, supplies were tracked, intelligence was communicated, and institutions did not collapse under the strain of global conflict. What emerged from their involvement was not a temporary accommodation, but the dawn of a new professional identity for women, one defined by capability, precision, courage, and an unshakable sense of duty. Before this transformation, the world into which these women were born was marked by rigid social expectations that confined them to roles deemed appropriate for their gender, often restricting them from careers that required technical skill, decision-making authority, or exposure to danger. The prevailing belief was that women lacked the composure, rationality, or physical endurance necessary for demanding work outside the home, especially roles that involved communication technologies or the handling of sensitive information. For centuries, systems of law, education, and employment had reinforced this ideology, shaping a society in which the very notion of women managing military communications or navigating dangerous terrain as messengers seemed unthinkable. Yet history has repeatedly shown that necessity disrupts tradition more powerfully than ideology ever can. As wars intensified and technological advancements transformed the requirements of communication, the need for meticulous operators, organized clerks, and reliable messengers became indisputable. Women, who had long been underestimated, rose to meet these challenges with extraordinary effectiveness. Their entry into clerical work represented the first major breakthrough. As clerks, women became the silent architects of administrative stability, ensuring that the massive machinery of military and governmental institutions continued to function smoothly. They processed orders, managed personnel files, handled payroll systems, tracked supplies, organized intelligence briefings, and maintained the paper trails upon which entire operations depended. In offices that hummed with urgency and tension, these women mastered filing systems, shorthand, and document management to a degree that not only matched but often surpassed the efficiency of their male predecessors. Clerical work, once dismissed as trivial, proved to be the backbone of wartime coordination, and the women who performed it were essential for the survival of every unit, supply chain, and command center. Through their dedication, they demonstrated that intellectual endurance, discipline, and organizational skill were not male traits, but human ones, waiting to be recognized in those given the chance to use them. Parallel to this clerical revolution was the rise of female radio operators, whose role demanded an even more specialized mastery. These women entered communication rooms filled with equipment that pulsed, crackled, and hummed with coded messages traveling across vast distances. Radio communication was the bloodstream of wartime strategy, enabling commanders to coordinate offensives, issue warnings, direct air support, and relay intelligence. Mistakes could cost lives. Delays could shift the outcome of entire battles. Operating radios required a technical proficiency that went far beyond simply flipping switches or repeating words. Women learned Morse code, signal encryption, troubleshooting, and frequency modulation. They spent long hours monitoring channels, filtering static, decoding transmissions, and maintaining an acute awareness of the delicate balance between secrecy and speed. Their precision and concentration became legendary in many units, where their calmness under pressure contrasted sharply with the chaos unfolding on battlefields. In this role, women broke through one of the most enduring barriers of the era: the belief that technical operation was inherently masculine. Radio rooms became laboratories of equality, proving that skill, discipline, and intelligence, not gender, determined competence. Messengers, meanwhile, embodied a different kind of courage. Unlike clerks and radio operators who worked within controlled environments, female messengers moved through landscapes shaped by danger, unpredictability, and rapid change. Their mission was to deliver written orders, intelligence updates, supply requests, and critical documents from one point to another, sometimes across cities under air raid sirens, through military bases overflowing with activity, or along rural routes vulnerable to espionage and surveillance. In many regions, especially in resistance movements and occupied territories, female messengers risked their lives daily, knowing that a single intercepted message could result in imprisonment, torture, or execution. Yet their appearances, often assumed harmless by enemy forces, became a strategic advantage, allowing them to move more freely than men in many contexts. Their resilience and ingenuity formed the hidden arteries of resistance networks, underground operations, and local coordination efforts. These women were the embodiment of silent bravery, navigating fear, secrecy, and urgency with a determination that redefined what it meant to serve in war. Their collective presence of female clerks, radio operators, and messengers challenged not only the wartime status quo, but the larger social order that had long confined women's identities. Their success forced institutions, governments, and militaries to confront uncomfortable truths about the artificial limits placed on women. As they proved themselves indispensable, the world was compelled to reconsider its assumptions. These roles became catalysts for new conversations about women's education, workforce participation, and political rights. Even after the wars ended and societies attempted to push women back into domestic roles, something irreversible had already occurred. The knowledge they gained, the confidence they built, and the respect they earned could not be erased by a return to peacetime conservatism. Their legacy became an undercurrent of the women's rights movements that emerged in the decades that followed, planting the seeds for battles over equal pay, workplace equality, and broader access to career opportunities. What makes their story even more powerful is the duality of their impact. They changed the world, and they changed themselves. For many women, these roles were the first time they wielded authority, controlled technology, or influenced decisions beyond the household. They discovered strengths they had never been allowed to express, and this awakening altered the trajectory of their lives and the expectations of the generations that came after them. Their experiences became testimonies that reshaped societal perceptions, revealing that women were not simply capable of supporting complex operations, they were essential to their success. Their contributions formed the foundation of modern communication networks, administrative systems, and intelligence practices, influencing fields far beyond the wartime era. The rise of women in support and communication roles emerged from a world in rapid transformation, shaped by industrial growth, geopolitical tensions, and shifting societal expectations. As nations modernized their bureaucratic and military structures, the demand for organized information management created new openings for detail-oriented and disciplined female workers. Women stepped into spaces once jealously guarded by men, demonstrating competence that challenged outdated assumptions about their capabilities. This shift did not happen overnight, but evolved from decades of social advocacy, expanding education, and increasing pressure for gender equality. During global conflicts and national emergencies, women became essential actors, filling critical communication and logistical gaps left by men who departed for frontline duties. Their entrance into these fields marked a profound shift in how administrative labor was understood and valued by governments and institutions. Technological advances such as telephones, typewriters, and radio transmitters created an unprecedented need for skilled operators who could handle complex systems with precision. Women, trained through new vocational programs, seized these opportunities with enthusiasm, proving their proficiency in environments that demanded focus and reliability. Their work often required secrecy, discipline, and a calm demeanor, especially in high-pressure communication hubs linked to military or governmental operations. In offices, command centers, and field stations, women demonstrated that efficient communication could determine the success or failure of broader organizational objectives. Many of these roles required navigating strict protocols, often enforced with military-level rigor, which women mastered with remarkable adaptability. The early 20th century saw increasing literacy among women, which strengthened their qualification for clerical and communicative responsibilities. As women grew more visible in these spaces, public perception slowly shifted, recognizing their contributions as not merely supportive, but foundational to national administration. Communication roles demanded emotional steadiness, especially when handling urgent or sensitive information that could influence strategic decisions. Women proved adept at managing multi-tiered responsibilities, balancing administrative workloads with the precision required for message handling and transmission. The changing economic landscape incentivized governments to utilize every capable individual, pushing against old prejudices that had long limited women's professional growth. Women who entered these roles brought with them a sense of purpose, shaped by patriotic duty, personal ambition, or financial necessity. Their presence improved organizational efficiency, introducing new standards in filing systems, message routing, and methodical documentation. Universities and technical institutes expanded programs for female students, preparing them for increasingly specialized support and communication work. Public campaigns encouraged women to join wartime industries, emphasizing how communication roles were as vital as physical labor to national security. Female workers often endured skepticism from male colleagues, yet persisted, understanding that their performance would influence perceptions for generations to come. Their commitment expanded workforce diversity and showcased how a broader talent pool strengthened administrative and strategic operations. Women serving in communication roles had to navigate complex hierarchies that tested their patience, resilience, and determination. Many found empowerment through their duties, discovering new confidence in their abilities to handle high-stakes responsibilities. The rise of women in communication roles also reshaped household dynamics, as families adapted to new routines involving working mothers or daughters. Media portrayals of women in these roles shifted from novelty to necessity, as their contributions became indispensable. Women's ability to manage large volumes of information helped streamline operations in government offices, military bases, and private institutions. Girls growing up during these eras increasingly aspired to occupations once considered unreachable, inspired by the examples set by pioneering women. Leadership roles slowly opened to women who demonstrated organizational insight, earning respect from superiors and subordinates alike. Training academies developed rigorous programs to prepare women for precise communication roles involving codes, transmissions, and message security. These advancements challenged long-held stereotypes that women lacked the discipline or technical aptitude for serious administrative work. In many regions, women collaborated across departments to ensure seamless coordination between clerical, telecommunication, and logistical units. The pressure of managing wartime communication cultivated an atmosphere where performance mattered more than gender. For many women, these experiences became defining chapters in their lives, offering new personal and professional aspirations. Women learned to work in environments where messages could determine troop movements, supply routes, or emergency responses. As governments recognized the value of female workers, recruitment campaigns became more inclusive and strategically targeted. Through these changing dynamics, women's professional identities expanded and their roles became intertwined with national narratives of resilience. The rise of women in support and communication roles marked a turning point in labor history, reflecting a broader movement toward gender integration. This new generation of female workers refused to settle for marginal roles, advocating for recognition and equality within their workspaces. Many women entered these professions seeking not only employment, but also opportunities to grow intellectually and contribute meaningfully to society. Their efforts established a legacy that redefined the importance of communication labor in shaping organizational and national outcomes. The female workforce demonstrated that administrative mastery could be as critical as technical or combat operations. Their involvement proved essential for maintaining order in chaotic environments where communication errors could have devastating consequences. Women's contributions expanded the very definition of service, illustrating how unseen labor often supported the most visible achievements. Through persistence, women overcame resistance from traditionalists who doubted their capability to excel in demanding communication settings. Many female workers built lasting camaraderie within their units, finding strength in shared challenges and responsibilities. Their entry into these fields symbolized a breaking of barriers that laid the groundwork for future generations of professional women. The environments in which they worked became training grounds for leadership, discipline, and strategic thinking. As institutions modernized, women were entrusted with increasingly complex tasks involving secure communication networks and layered administrative systems. Their adaptability allowed them to manage evolving technologies, proving that women could master both mechanical and intellectual demands. The rise of women in communication roles illuminated how gender diversity strengthened workplaces by bringing new perspectives and working styles. Their expanding visibility challenged societal assumptions, paving the way for broader discussions about women's rights and labor equality. Many women who served in these capacities later became advocates for workplace reform, using their experiences to demand lasting change. The story of women entering communication roles is ultimately a story of perseverance, ambition, and the unyielding pursuit of professional respect. Their roles acted as bridges between traditional responsibilities and emerging opportunities, helping redefine what women could accomplish. The commitment women showed in mastering communication systems demonstrated their ability to adapt to rapidly changing global landscapes. Female workers not only supported wartime and bureaucratic efforts, but also reshaped cultural expectations surrounding intelligence, professionalism, and leadership. Their achievements revealed that communication labor, often dismissed as mundane, carried profound influence over national and institutional success. As more women proved their competence, the barriers that once restricted them began to crumble, setting a precedent for expanded participation. The rise of women in support and communication roles exemplified the power of opportunity and the transformative impact of inclusive labor policies. Female clerks emerged as the silent engines of administrative efficiency during eras of rapid modernization, wartime upheaval, and bureaucratic expansion, stepping into roles that demanded precision, discipline, and unwavering attention to detail. Their responsibilities ranged from maintaining vast filing systems to managing correspondence, processing confidential documents, organizing logistical schedules, and ensuring that every piece of information moved efficiently through complex institutional networks. As offices grew larger and military commands expanded, clerical tasks multiplied, and women became indispensable figures whose work created order within systems that might otherwise collapse under the weight of disorganized information. The arrival of women into clerical fields marked an evolution in workplace dynamics, driven by increasing literacy rates, growing access to education, and shifting societal expectations regarding women's contributions to the national workforce. During wartime, the demand for administrative labor increased dramatically as men left for combat, leaving thousands of clerical vacancies that women filled with unmatched dedication and efficiency. Many women found themselves training rapidly for roles that required mastery of typewriters, shorthand notation, filing methodologies, and complex reporting procedures, transforming them into highly skilled information managers. Clerks were responsible for maintaining the accuracy of personnel records, supply lists, financial logs, strategic correspondence, and operational directives, ensuring that decision-makers had immediate access to reliable data. Women worked long hours to maintain exacting standards, understanding that even minor errors in documentation or communication could disrupt operations, delay essential supplies, or compromise military strategies. Their work was often performed behind the scenes, yet it formed the foundation upon which every administrative structure depended, revealing the immense, yet frequently overlooked value of clerical labor. Female clerks learned to navigate strict office hierarchies, often supervised by officers or senior civil servants who relied on their diligence to uphold the integrity of administrative workflow. In many institutions, women introduced new systems of organization that increased overall efficiency, refining filing techniques, optimizing communication pathways, and developing methods to reduce redundancy. Although these innovations were seldom publicly acknowledged, they transformed the speed and accuracy with which organizations could function, proving how essential women's contributions were to administrative modernization. The rise of female clerks also reshaped public perceptions of women's intellectual capabilities, as they demonstrated consistent proficiency in managing complex and sensitive documents. Many women found clerical work empowering, offering financial independence, professional identity, and an opportunity to participate directly in national and institutional progress. However, their presence in offices also exposed them to long-standing stereotypes that dismissed clerical labor as simple or routine, despite the high level of accuracy and foresight it often required. Women faced skepticism from male colleagues who questioned their capacity for intense administrative responsibilities, yet clerks repeatedly proved their competence through disciplined performance and meticulous work habits. Over time, female clerks became trusted guardians of institutional memory, maintaining records that preserved organizational continuity through transitions, crises, and structural changes. Some clerks gained additional responsibilities, acting as assistants to senior officers or administrators, managing schedules, drafting complex reports, and handling confidential communications. Women often navigated immense workloads, balancing multiple tasks simultaneously while adhering to rigid deadlines that demanded emotional resilience and professional discipline. Their contributions frequently extended beyond written work, as clerks coordinated meetings, facilitated communication between departments, and acted as the administrative glue holding organizations together. Technological advancement played a crucial role in expanding clerical responsibilities, with women quickly mastering early office machines such as duplicators, indexers, calculators, and teleprinters. Their adaptability enabled organizations to transition smoothly into more modern administrative systems that required both mechanical skill and intellectual precision. Female clerks played a crucial role in safeguarding classified documents, ensuring message security, and maintaining strict confidentiality protocols essential to military and government operations. Many clerks handled sensitive information involving troop movements, supply chains, intelligence briefings, and strategic directives, understanding the grave consequences of any breach. This responsibility required exceptional trustworthiness, making the role of clerks far more critical than the public often realized. Women also played key roles in financial administration, managing payrolls, procurement documentation, and budget reports that ensured resources were allocated effectively and accounted for meticulously. Even small clerical teams processed extraordinary volumes of paperwork daily, transforming raw information into structured records that shaped strategic decisions. The emotional burden of clerical work was often underestimated, as women handled reports involving casualties, missing personnel, and critical wartime losses, sometimes delivering heartbreaking updates to families. Despite these challenges, clerks performed with remarkable professionalism, maintaining accuracy even under emotionally taxing circumstances. The environments they occupied varied widely, from quiet administrative offices to active command centers, mobile field units, and makeshift wartime offices situated in unpredictable locations. These experiences taught clerks to adapt quickly, operate under pressure, and uphold unwavering discipline regardless of external conditions. The presence of female clerks also contributed to a cultural shift in workplaces that had historically excluded women from professional roles. Their performance demonstrated that women could excel in complex, technical, and intellectually demanding administrative systems that had long been dominated by men. Women often formed supportive networks with one another, sharing knowledge, encouraging professional growth, and creating a sense of unity within high-pressure environments. These networks contributed to long-term workplace reforms that emphasized improved training standards, equitable evaluations, and increased recognition for clerical workers. While many women entered clerical fields out of necessity during wartime, a significant number chose to remain after conflict subsided, reshaping the gender composition of post-war workspaces. Their continued presence helped normalize women's participation in professional environments, influencing hiring patterns and altering societal expectations about women's career possibilities. Female clerks proved capable of handling not only routine administrative tasks, but also evolving responsibilities that required critical thinking, problem-solving, and organizational leadership. Their legacy extended beyond their daily duties, influencing future generations of women to pursue administrative, managerial, and executive careers. The foundation built by clerks paved the way for broader gender integration across professional sectors, demonstrating the transformative power of women's participation in administrative labor. Through persistence and excellence, female clerks reshaped the narrative of clerical work, from mere paperwork to a vital, strategic, and intellectually demanding component of organizational success. Their contributions served as a reminder that even the most unglamorous tasks could hold profound importance in the functioning of entire institutions. As women continued to excel in clerical roles, barriers slowly fell, opening pathways to advanced careers in administration, intelligence analysis, communications, and leadership. The story of female clerks is ultimately a testament to the strength, intelligence, and determination of women who turned administrative labor into a cornerstone of organizational stability. Their mastery of detail, commitment to accuracy, and ability to manage vast flows of information left an enduring mark on institutional history, revealing how crucial their work was to the success of operations, both large and small. In every department they entered, women redefined what administrative excellence meant, demonstrating that dedication. Women who served as radio operators occupied one of the most technically demanding and strategically essential roles within communication networks, acting as guardians of the unseen pathways through which information traveled across vast distances. Their work required extraordinary focus, precision, and mental stamina as they transmitted and received coded messages, monitored frequencies, maintained equipment, and ensured that vital information reached its destination without error or delay. Operating radios was far more than pressing buttons or turning dials. It was a discipline that required mastery of signal clarity, timing accuracy, and the ability to interpret auditory cues within environments filled with noise, interference, and constant activity. Women trained rigorously to understand the nuances of wireless communication, learning Morse code, frequency allocation, signal encryption, and equipment maintenance with remarkable speed and proficiency. In military settings, the stakes of their responsibilities were extremely high, as a single miscommunicated signal could alter troop movements, compromise operations, or jeopardize the safety of entire units. Female radio operators demonstrated exceptional discipline, remaining calm even during emergencies where rapid communication determined whether reinforcements, supplies, or warnings arrived in time. Their ability to process vast amounts of information in real time made them indispensable in command posts, field units, naval stations, and intelligence hubs, where every second counted. Women worked long shifts monitoring radio networks, often in dimly lit rooms filled with constant static and background chatter, requiring them to differentiate meaningful signals from noise with near-instant recognition. Many radio operators were positioned close to active conflict zones, where the sound of distant artillery or aircraft served as a constant reminder of the importance and danger of their work. In some cases, women were relocated to remote outposts or mobile communication units, working in makeshift stations that demanded adaptability, technical skill, and mental endurance. Their involvement in secure communication made them key participants in intelligence operations, decoding and relaying sensitive information that shaped strategic decisions at the highest levels. Radio operators had to maintain near-perfect accuracy when transmitting encrypted messages, knowing that any deviation from protocol could render a transmission useless or expose it to interception. Women excelled in these roles because of their attention to detail, steady nerves, and the ability to maintain concentration through long hours of repetitive yet critically important tasks. Supervisors frequently noted their ability to detect subtle changes in signal strength or pattern, an instinct honed through extensive training and continuous hands-on experience. As technology evolved, women adapted quickly to new radio sets, communication devices, and encryption tools, demonstrating remarkable versatility in environments where equipment breakdowns and technical challenges were common. They often served as troubleshooters, repairing malfunctioning radios, adjusting antenna systems, or identifying issues within communication lines to restore uninterrupted contact between units. Beyond technical skill, radio operators developed a profound sense of responsibility, understanding that they formed the lifeline between isolated groups, rescue teams, commanders, and logistical networks. Their work connected pilots to bases, naval vessels to command ships, frontline soldiers to supply units, and intelligence officers to strategic leadership. Women became trusted sources of stability in communication centers, offering reassurance through their professionalism and reliability even in moments of chaos. Working with classified transmissions required strict discipline, as radio operators had to follow confidentiality rules and code protocols with unwavering consistency. Many women handled top-secret messages involving troop deployments, weather patterns crucial for flight missions, enemy movement reports, and early warnings that saved countless lives. Despite the critical nature of their role, radio operators often received little public recognition, as much of their work remained classified or overshadowed by more visible military contributions. Nevertheless, their colleagues within communication networks understood the extraordinary responsibility placed on their shoulders and respected their competence and dedication deeply. Women who served as radio operators frequently describe the emotional intensity of their work, especially when transmitting distress signals or receiving emergency calls from units under threat. They learned to maintain emotional composure even when hearing the urgency, fear, or desperation in a voice on the other end of the line. The nature of their duties demanded both intellectual endurance and emotional resilience, qualities that women demonstrated with remarkable consistency throughout their service. Women who served as messengers occupied one of the most physically demanding and dangerously exposed roles in the communication network, moving swiftly through crowded cities, military bases, command posts, and even unstable field environments to deliver critical information that could not be entrusted to radio or telephone lines. Their work required unwavering courage, exceptional endurance, and a profound sense of responsibility as they navigated unpredictable conditions, hostile terrain, and intense pressure to ensure that sensitive messages reached the right hands at the right time. Messenger duties often placed women between two worlds, the structured environment of administrative offices and the chaotic, fast-moving realm of operational zones, where communication breakdowns could alter the course of missions or jeopardize the safety of entire units. Women chosen for these roles were trained not only in document handling protocols, but also in personal safety, situational awareness, and rapid route assessment, as their ability to anticipate obstacles often determined the speed and success of deliveries. In military settings, messengers frequently faced the threat of enemy surveillance, sabotage, or sudden attacks, forcing them to move quickly and discreetly while maintaining absolute confidentiality regarding the contents of the messages they carried. Many women traveled long distances across bases and field sites, often in harsh weather conditions or through damaged infrastructure, proving their resilience and commitment in situations that tested both physical strength and mental determination. Their routes were rarely predictable. They adjusted constantly to changing operational needs, shifting command centers, and urgent assignments that required immediate delivery of orders, warnings, or strategic updates. Women messengers acted as vital bridges between departments, ensuring that communication remained intact even when technology failed, lines were cut, or radio silence was enforced due to security threats. Their reliability became legendary within many units, as officers and administrators trusted them to deliver information that was too sensitive or urgent to risk interception or delay through other communication channels. Unlike other communication roles that operated within controlled environments, messengers moved through diverse and sometimes unstable surroundings, which demanded quick thinking, adaptability, and a calm reaction to unexpected challenges. Some women rode bicycles, motorcycles, or jeeps across long distances, mastering vehicle maintenance, navigation, and evasive maneuvers to reach their destinations under intense time constraints. Others completed their routes on foot, weaving through crowded corridors, active airfields, or makeshift military camps with precision and speed that ensured instructions reached recipients without interruption. Their movement through these environments placed them in constant contact with different branches of operations, giving them unique insight into the interconnected nature of administrative, logistical, and tactical work. Women messengers often witnessed the urgency and tension behind wartime decision-making, hearing fragments of conversations or observing the rapid responses triggered by the messages they delivered. Despite this exposure, they were trained to remain discreet, maintaining professional silence even when the information they held involved critical operations, high-stakes troop movements, or sensitive intelligence. Their integrity made them trusted custodians of communication, individuals who understood the importance of secrecy and precision in environments where even small breaches could have devastating consequences. Messengers carried a wide range of documents, coded reports, personnel lists, maps, reconnaissance findings, and urgent directives, each requiring careful handling and absolute adherence to protocol. Women developed meticulous habits to ensure that no message was lost, damaged, or delivered to the wrong person, often double-checking recipients, signatures, timestamps, and authorization marks. In many cases, their deliveries served as the final link in long chains of communication, completing processes that involved radio operators, clerks, intelligence officers, and commanders. Their punctuality and accuracy became essential to ensuring that operations unfolded smoothly, especially during emergencies where response times were critical. Women messengers also took on emotionally challenging assignments, delivering casualty lists, urgent family notifications, or messages that altered the fate of individuals and entire units. They often carried the emotional weight of these deliveries, maintaining professionalism even when facing grief, anxiety, or desperate questions from those awaiting news. Some messengers were stationed in hospitals or medical bases, where they moved between wards supporting the flow of medical records, treatment updates, and critical supply requests. Their presence helped maintain order during medical crises, connecting surgeons, nurses, administrators, and supply teams in a synchronized effort to save lives. Women working in intelligence centers handled messages that contained classified information about enemy movements, intercepted communications, or covert operations, requiring heightened vigilance and strict adherence to security procedures. In many regions, messengers also supported civil defense operations, carrying updates related to air raid alerts, emergency evacuations, resource distribution, and community protection measures. Their ability to remain calm under pressure made them valuable assets in these civilian environments, where their presence reassured communities facing constant uncertainty. Some messengers gained reputations for extraordinary reliability, completing their routes under dangerous conditions such as bombings, blackouts, or sudden attacks that tested their courage and resilience. These women became symbols of perseverance, embodying strength through action rather than words as they continued delivering messages despite the risks surrounding them. Their work was often physically exhausting, involving continuous movement, heavy document bags, and repetitive trips across long or hazardous distances. Yet many women found dignity and pride in their responsibilities, knowing that their movement powered the communication flow that sustained entire operations. Messengers operated within a unique blend of independence and responsibility, often completing their tasks alone while carrying the weight of information essential to dozens or hundreds of people. Their ability to navigate unfamiliar layouts, military bases, administrative centers, temporary field camps, or complex urban zones made them indispensable guides within large organizations. Women frequently memorized shortcuts, optimized routes, and developed intuitive understanding of the most efficient pathways through unpredictable environments. This spatial intelligence became one of the defining aspects of their expertise, enabling them to outpace delays and adapt quickly to sudden changes in operational structure. Their work also challenged gender stereotypes that portrayed women as physically delicate or limited in endurance, proving instead that they could excel in demanding roles requiring strength, agility, and unyielding determination. Many women developed lifelong confidence from their messenger service, gaining valuable skills in navigation, coordination, and rapid decision-making that shaped their future careers. Women serving as clerks, radio operators, and messengers faced multi-layered barriers that shaped their daily experiences, challenged their resilience, and tested their ability to navigate work environments designed by and for men. These barriers were social, structural, institutional, psychological, and sometimes physical, forming an interconnected web that women had to overcome simply to perform tasks essential to wartime operations. Although their work was vital, they often entered roles where their competence was doubted from the start, requiring them to prove their worth repeatedly and at a higher standard compared to their male counterparts. This constant need to validate their presence formed the backdrop against which they fought for recognition, respect, and the right to contribute fully to the communication and support networks that sustained military and administrative systems. In many workplaces, women encountered systemic biases that were deeply rooted in pre-war cultural norms, where female labor was viewed as secondary or supplementary rather than essential. They were often relegated to roles considered appropriate for their gender, even when they possessed skills that exceeded the demands of those positions. Instances of skepticism toward women's technical abilities, particularly in radio operation, coding, and message handling, were common, forcing women to master their tasks with exceptional precision to earn the trust that men were granted automatically. The burden of expectation meant that any minor error committed by a woman was magnified and interpreted as evidence of inherent unsuitability, whereas similar mistakes by men were dismissed as routine. The emotional weight of operating under such scrutiny created an environment where women developed heightened discipline, focus, and a determination to excel, not just for themselves, but for all women who would follow in similar roles. This reality shaped their professional identities, turning their daily work into a quiet but powerful form of resistance against gender norms that sought to limit their potential. The legacy of female clerks, radio operators, and messengers extends far beyond the confines of the wartime environments in which they served, shaping a broader understanding of women's capabilities and redefining the social structures that had long restricted their professional identities. Their contributions not only filled operational gaps during global conflict, but also demonstrated an irreplaceable competence that forced both military and civilian institutions to reconsider long-held assumptions about gender and labor. These women stepped into roles that demanded precision, emotional endurance, adaptability, and discipline, proving that the boundaries imposed on them were rooted not in ability, but in outdated tradition. As they carried classified documents through dangerous landscapes, encoded transmissions across static-filled frequencies, or maintained the administrative machinery that kept units functioning, they created a blueprint for the generations that followed, a blueprint built on courage, intelligence, and resilience. In doing so, they laid the groundwork for a more inclusive workforce and for the future movements that would push for equality across industries. Their impact unfolded gradually, often quietly, but with undeniable permanence. When the wars ended and men returned to reclaim their positions, many women were dismissed or encouraged to return to domestic life. Yet the skills they had acquired could not be erased. The confidence they gained in mastering technical equipment, multitasking under pressure, or making independent decisions lingered as a latent force within society. Even in cases where women were removed from their wartime posts, their service had already set a precedent. It demonstrated publicly that women were capable of working in environments once declared too dangerous, too technical, or too intellectually demanding. Over time, historians, policymakers, and military leaders began to recognize that these women had not been temporary stand-ins for men, but rather pioneers of a new professional identity. Their work became a cornerstone for post-war discussions about women's rights, labor equality, and expanded career paths in both government and civilian institutions. Furthermore, their presence in communication and logistical roles challenged stereotypes that had long portrayed women as too emotional or inconsistent for tasks requiring accuracy and secrecy. Female radio operators mastered the intricacies of frequency modulation and encrypted signals, often outperforming their male counterparts in patience and meticulousness. Clerks kept the administrative engine running at a pace necessary to sustain entire regiments, processing volumes of documents with extraordinary precision. Messengers navigated environments that shifted from routine to volatile within moments, carrying orders that could determine the fate of entire units. Through these responsibilities, women demonstrated an intellectual and emotional composure that contradicted the prevailing belief that they were unsuited for high-responsibility positions. Their success not only strengthened wartime operations, but also contributed to a slow transformation in public perception, one that began to accept women's presence in roles of complexity, technological importance, and strategic influence. The long-term influence of their work also intersected with the emerging movements for women's liberation in the mid-20th century. Although many of these wartime women did not initially frame their work as activism, their lived experiences empowered them to question and challenge the restrictive societal structures of the post-war era. Some went on to pursue careers in public service, communications, government administration, and education, carrying their wartime lessons into professional spaces that had long excluded women. Others became advocates for labor rights, pushing for equal pay and improved working conditions. In every case, their service in wartime roles helped normalize women's presence in jobs that valued technical ability, leadership, and independent judgment. The younger generation, witnessing these women's stories, found inspiration and a sense of possibility previously denied to them. In addition, the evolution of technology and communication systems in the decades following the wars continued to highlight the value of the foundational work done by female operators and clerks. Their ability to navigate early radio technologies, filing systems, encryption methods, and message relay structures helped shape the transition into the more complex communication networks that define modern institutions. In this sense, they not only served their countries in a time of crisis, but also contributed to the technological and organizational foundations of future communication industries. Many of the procedural innovations they helped establish, such as improved coding protocols, streamlined administrative processes, and safety measures for information transmission, remained embedded in communication doctrine for decades. Their legacy, therefore, is not only historical, but structural, embedded in the very systems that govern modern information flow. Today, the recognition of their contributions continues to grow as more research, archival work, and public exhibitions shed light on the invisible labor that shaped wartime operations. Museums, documentaries, and academic studies increasingly highlight the critical role women played in sustaining communication networks, maintaining administrative continuity, and ensuring coordination across dispersed units. Their stories have become part of a broader effort to acknowledge the full spectrum of wartime labor, challenging narratives that once centered exclusively on combat roles. This recognition is not merely symbolic, it contributes to an expanded understanding of warfare and society, revealing that victories are built not only on battlefields, but also in the offices, communication centers, and messenger routes where women worked tirelessly and often anonymously. Most importantly, the long arc of their impact lies in the opportunities they created for future generations. Modern women serving as intelligence analysts, communication specialists, logistics officers, cryptographers, and administrative leaders walk in the footsteps of those who first broke the silence of restricted opportunity. The empowerment women experience today, whether in military careers, corporate leadership, public administration, or technology fields, draws directly from the legacy of those who proved through their work that competence is not determined by gender. Their service helped cultivate a world where women can aspire, compete, and lead not in spite of their gender, but without it being an obstacle at all. Ultimately, the story of female clerks, radio operators, and messengers is one of transformation. The transformation of workplaces, expectations, and opportunities, as well as the transformation of women themselves. What began as a response to workforce shortages evolved into a defining moment of empowerment, courage, and societal change. Their legacy forms an essential chapter in the ongoing pursuit of equality, reminding future generations that progress is built on the bravery of those who dared to step into roles the world once believed they could not fill. Their work, often quiet, often overlooked, became a catalyst for enduring change, an inheritance of strength and possibility that continues to inspire women across the world.